We are live. Excellent. All right. Thank you so much, my friends, for joining us on another episode here of Extreme Health Radio. I hope you guys are having a great Friday and enjoying yourselves wherever you're listening in today's world. Thank you for joining us. This is going to be a great show. This is really going to be a fun show. I'm really excited to talk to Dr. Tent and have him on the show. We've had a ton of people ask to have him on the show. So we've known about his work for years, and we thought it'd be great to have him on and make sure to kind of talk with him about what he's got going on. So I'll introduce him in just a second. This is episode 664. So if you're listening on the podcast or if you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, anywhere like that, and you want to grab the show notes to the Extreme Health Academy, to our website, to Dr. Tent's website, any of the items that we mentioned today, just go to extremehealthradio.com/664. That's all you got to remember, 664. And I'll try to do my best to take really good show notes for you, so that way you can get access to all the links that we talk about and all that cool stuff on today's show. So we've got a lot of cool stuff. What do we have coming up? We've got a lot of cool shows coming up here. We do shows, if you're new to our work, 3 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10:45 a.m. That's when our live shows happen. 10:45 a.m. Pacific time. So if you guys want to join the live shows, we're going to be always live on those days, unless there's a technical issue or anything like that. Let's see, what is our upcoming schedule? Let me take a look here. It's posted on our homepage if you guys are ever interested. Let's see. On Monday, we got Nathan Walls. We'll be talking about light, water, magnetism, optimizing health and wellness. So he's been on the show a couple times. Great guy, and he's doing great work in the work that he's doing. And then next Wednesday, we're going to have Katie Singer, and we're going to talk with, she has here on the title of it, How on Earth Do We Shrink the Internet's Footprint? So I'm going to have to look more into the subject matter of that show. So that's going to be fun. Next Friday, a week from today, Dr. Sam Byrne, we'll talk with him about holistic eye care. And then next Monday, we have Michael Goldberg on preventing chronic disease. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. So if you guys want to make sure that you don't miss any of the shows, make sure to subscribe if you're listening on iTunes. If you're watching now on YouTube, there should be a little bell button, I think, for you to get notifications when we go live. That way you don't miss any of these shows. And I don't want you to miss any, because every now and then there's going to be some good shows that really pertain to the stuff that you're into and the stuff that you're studying and wanting to figure out for your own health. So today we've got Dr. R.E. Tent. Dr. Randy Tent is a graduate of Palmer College of Chiropractic and has a local private practice and has been in practice since 1981. Let's see, his bio just keeps going and going. He lectures hundreds of people, has a great practice. And his first audio tape, Kill the Cravings, has already made it around the world. And he lectures, it continues twice a year, and his past available lectures are available on YouTube. His website is diversehealthservices.com. So I'll pull that up when I bring him on the show, but let me bring him on here so that you guys can check out the work of Dr. Tent and introduce him to our audience. Okay, here we go. Dr. Tent, how are you doing today?
Very good, thank you.
So glad to have you on. And like I was telling you before we started the show, we've had a lot of people asking for your, for us to have you on the show. So this is really cool.
It's a strange position to be in when you never expected to do anything like this for a living. And I was the last person, I think, in my high school that they picked for this kind of a career. So it's a funny spot to be in. Believe even after 38 years, it still feels surreal, actually.
Wow. Why? What were you interested in different things, or did people just not expect this from you?
Well, it's just that, health. I was an athletic kid. We played sports. It was the 70s. Didn't tell anybody anything. I didn't have many ideas of anything for a living. So my mother pushed me into this. And since nothing else was going, that seemed more important, well, it's something to try anyway. So I have no clue why I did this, but it seemed like the good Lord wanted me to do this because, the interesting people that came in my path that allowed me to learn some different things changed a lot of people's lives.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard you share a lot about your story and different people you've been learning from over the years, and so I'm curious with the work that you do now. Are you seeing like a trend? Are there any health conditions that you're seeing an uptick in terms of a trend with your patients?
Oh, right now, if you're driving down the road, I think you're going to watch the fact that the men are in a whole different place than they used to be than where the women are. You're watching the men going backwards because of all the chemicals in society. You're watching such a weak group of men, and it's affecting our society in so many different ways that I think that's if you're old enough to see the trend, guys in their 60s, we don't recognize the men in their 20s and 30s because it's not the men that we grew up around.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because I've heard you mention that before as well. And we just did a show with kind of a strong man, a fitness kind of guy, Elliot Hulse down in Florida. And he has this whole thing called Strength Camp. And he works with men to become men and to be strong men and to teach people how to recultivate this sort of aspect in our culture that's been lost. And what are your thoughts about? I mean, I have my thoughts. What are your thoughts about why this is a trend today?
Well, I could probably reach about 1 foot from where I'm at right now and show you the testosterone levels of men in their 20s that I have to walk in the room and tell them that your grandmother probably has higher testosterone levels than you right now.
Uh-huh.
So when people multiply the effects of the plastics and the estrogen, I try to bring up to the fact a country can't lose its men because that's the beginning of the end for a country. And the Pentagon, the police, many people in law enforcement are worried. Do you realize they couldn't pass a Detroit police physical? The kids now if you can't pass a Detroit cop physical, you've never played outside in your life one time.
Yeah, it's interesting that we have these xenoestrogens, like you mentioned, plastics and things that are causing, guys' hormones to go crazy and testosterone levels to drop. But then there's also it seems to me like a cultural war against men, isn't there?
Correct. Absolutely. And it's been done so successfully and so subtly. It's sad if you're not paying attention because it happened right in front of everybody and there was basically no resistance.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think that the rise, this is kind of a controversial question in today's world, but the rise in homosexual males might be caused or have some sort of connection to the massive amounts of xenoestrogens? I was reading a study recently, I mentioned this before on our show, that since the early 1960s, there's been 60,000 new chemicals introduced into our environment. It's got to play a role. It's got to affect our hormones to some degree, right?
Well, right now in the literature, you'll see them starting to admit that men's penises are a half an inch shorter than they've been in the past. And I've had personal friends of mine that have jobs. For example, one friend is a truck driver. He said to me, Randy, everything's shrinking. I said, well, the amount of estrogen now, and I know you have an awake crowd, but it's gotten so bad.
Uh-oh. Shoot. I think we lost him. Uh-oh. This is the issue with live shows here. Well, he said, I know you guys have an awakened crowd, and that's where it stopped. And unfortunately, I think he might be on a wireless connection here, which is a real issue.